The purpose of this short tutorial is to indoctrinate DBA faculty and students on the DBA Rubric and Research Handbook initiative. However, before I begin, I think it is important that I stress a few things. First, the rubric is not new. However, we added clarification to existing elements to minimize numerous review cycles for faculty and students. However, the handbook is new. The handbook provides examples of internationally accepted research strategies, tips, some videos, and document hyperlinks, and is aligned to the rubric. This should contribute to a higher level of inter-rater reliability amongst the committee members, methodologists, and university reviewers. Students will not be asked to rewrite sections where we have now denoted component length requirements. For example, we identified the length of the background of the study. We have seen examples ranging from 1 to 7 pages. We believe the section 1 should be short, brief, and much of the material some students were including in the background could be a better fit for the literature review. We realize the length of most components is a minor issue that will self-correct, so faculty will not ask students to rewrite these areas. When the DBA program first launched 5 years ago, about 99.5% of students authored qualitative studies. However, with the launch of new specializations, including accounting, project management, and healthcare, we noted an increase in students using quantitative methodology. So clarification has been provided to students and reviewers with information pertaining to these specific methodological differences so they can publish quicker and with fewer review cycles. Finally, students and reviewers should ensure the handbook is reviewed to ensure the depth of rubric components are addressed appropriately to minimize returns. Let's now begin with the short tutorial. In this tutorial, I will address key objectives of the Rubric Research Handbook initiative. I will then take you on a live tour of the Rubric and Research Handbook. In this tour, I will discuss the document watermark, the student and committee information area, a key feature called footnotes, the rating column, which you will see no longer contains drop-down selections, and the evaluation area. I will show you a few rubric components and how they hyperlink to the Research Handbook, and how the Research Handbook provides a quick hyperlink feature taking you back to the rubric. Finally, I will conclude with a brief summary of the material covered in this short tutorial. Let's now discuss the key objectives regarding the Rubric and Handbook initiative. One of the first objectives was to add clarity and detail to the rubric components. Please note that the rubric is not new. However, the objective was to add much more detail and clarity to the existing components. The second objective was to provide faculty and students with a personal development tool. As you will see, that this document is loaded with a wealth of information. Another key objective was to reduce the review time. A fourth key objective is to increase inter-rater reliability amongst the committee members, the methodologists, and the university reviewers. And finally, perhaps the most important objective is to ensure that we have a satisfied customer, and that is the Walden DBA student. As I mentioned, one of the key objectives was to increase clarity in the document. One area that I would like to highlight is in section 1, where we have provided word and page length clarity where appropriate. As you can see, we've identified sections such as the background of the problem, problem statement, purpose statement, nature of the study, research questions, the theoretical conceptual framework component, operational definitions, and literature review. Let's now take a live tour of the rubric and handbook. As you can see, there has been a cover page added to the document. There is an introductory section that explains the purpose of the doctoral study rubric and research handbook, along with other helpful information. Please be sure to read this introductory page. The first thing I would like to bring to your attention is the implementation of a watermark. As you can see, there is a watermark going horizontal from left to right, bottom to top of the paper. In this particular case, the watermark is titled DBA Official Doctoral Study Rubric, dated August 2014. The watermark will be used for document control purposes. We want to make sure that you are always using the most updated version of the document. As we mentioned, this document will be updated periodically with additional information to help you navigate through the doctoral study process. When this information is updated, the date of the watermark will change. For example, if we release a new version of the rubric and handbook in December 2014, you will see that the watermark will be dated December 2014. The newest document will be loaded to the Center for Research Quality website under the DBA area, and you will be notified via email that there is a more recent updated document. At that time, you will download the most updated document and proceed as normal. Again, the watermark will be used for version control. As we get into the study committee information area, this is where the information will simply be typed in as appropriate, as I have done here. The information required regarding number of references, etc., will be typed in. In this case, I'm going to type in that 195 of my 200 articles are within 5 years or less. The next key initiative I would like to point out is the use of footnotes in the document. Notice footnote number 1 right after the study and committee information heading. Hovering your cursor over this footnote will give you a pop-up help menu that provides a little bit more information. The footnote will also be contained in the bottom portion of each page that corresponds to the footnote number. So for example, footnote number 1, you will see the corresponding information at the bottom under footnote number 1, 2, 3, etc., number 4. As you can see, this page has footnote number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So these footnotes will be very important features to help you navigate through the doctoral study process. Please be sure to review every footnote on every page, as it will provide you with additional information to help you through the review process. Another change from the existing rubric is that there will no longer be any drop-down selection menus. You will simply type an X in the evaluation stage for the stage of the rubric evaluation. In this case, this rubric is showing that this is the before proposal oral defense stage. Again, you would do the same for the doctoral study stage, and the doctoral study committee members will simply type in their names in the yellow areas. Again, note the footnotes that are located at the bottom of the document, and they pertain to the particular footnote numbers in the actual document part of the rubric. You are now looking at the actual rubric component of the doctoral study rubric and handbook. One of the key features is the use of hyperlinks in the document that will take you from the rubric component to much more detailed information in the research handbook. I will show an example using the abstract. Here, if you hold your cursor on the word abstract, you will get a pop-up menu. In this case, it tells you to click here for more detail. Clicking on that abstract will take you to the research handbook, where you will see much more detailed information pertaining to the abstract. Now, to get back to the rubric component, instead of having to scroll all the way back up through several pages, 10, 20, 30 pages of document, you can simply highlight the title in the handbook component, and it will take you back to the corresponding section in the rubric. Now, as I scroll down the rubric here, just to take you on a tour, you'll see how much more detail is added to this rubric. Again, I'm going to show you that clicking on the background of the problem will take you to much more detailed information in the research handbook, and clicking on the title in the research handbook will take you back to the appropriate location in the doctoral study rubric. There's one final thing that I would like to show you, and that is the use of other hyperlinks, for example, that will take you to Ulrich's periodic directory, the various video tutorials that we have that most of you may have seen. And finally, I would also like to show you that we also have an appendix section. And in this case, you will see that in the footnote, again, this is why it's important to read each footnote, you will see that there's an appendix A that will take you to a research primer. If you click on that hyperlink, you will see that the document will jump to an appendix A, which is a research primer. Now take a look at the level of detail that is in this research primer. First of all, there is some introductory information, but then we go into providing you with examples of a correlation design problem statement, purpose statement, research question and hypotheses. We also do that for a quasi-experimental design, etc. And also, this appendix also has a set of research tips related to the topic of discussion. So as you can see, there's a lot of detail in this document. For example, when you're in the literature review component, you will see that there's a link to Appendix B. This will give you an example format, again, very hypothetical, but it should get you a good format to start from for a literature review for a quantitative study. Look at the detail in this document. Again, if I was to click on the heading in the research handbook, it would take me back to the location in the rubric pointing me to the Appendix B. So this is a key feature of the research rubric and handbook initiative. Again, the use of footnotes where appropriate that will also show you the footnote at the bottom of the document, the use of hyperlinks throughout the document that will take you to URL locations, appendix in the research handbook, and other areas that will provide you with a lot of helpful information to help you navigate through the research process. In this brief video tutorial, I have discussed the key objectives of the research handbook and rubric document. The objectives were to add clarity and detail to the document, provide faculty and students with a personal development tool, reduce review time, increase inter-rater reliability, and to ensure a satisfied customer, the Walden Doctoral Studies student. We then took a tour of the rubric where I showed you the watermark, which will serve as a document control feature, the student committee information area, the use of footnotes to provide you with additional information. Again, there are no drop-down selections. You will simply type in the information in the appropriate evaluation areas. We looked at some of the rubric components and showed how they hyperlink to the handbook, and how once you are in the handbook, you can make a click and hyperlink back to the associated location in the rubric. We hope that this new initiative will provide you with a breadth and depth of information needed to help you navigate through the doctoral study process. On behalf of Dr. Turner and the DBA methodology team, I wish you continued success in your doctoral study endeavors, and hopefully this new initiative will aid toward that accomplishment. Thank you and best of luck.